All right, so we have a lot of sports talk channels, and when I mean we, I mean like we've kind of built it out. We have other guys that are doing other channels. We have sports talk, Wisconsin, Chicago, Kansas City. We have Sports Talk Denver. We've got a few different ones, Sports Talk San Francisco, and all of those are different guys running the channels. And the reason I'm telling you this is because our Sports Talk San Francisco, I know they're the enemy now. It just sent us a text message that talked about the new salary cap of each team and which team currently has the most cap space going into next year. And this is going to be kind of proof that the Detroit Lions and Brad Holmes are just flat out ahead of the curve when it comes to understanding the salary cap and what is needed in the NFL. And I'm going to show you some of this stuff, what that looks like. But I think what's more kind of even important to remember for this is it's not just this year. To be fair, his name's Nate. He sent us the text and he said, how is this possible even with the big signings you had? Well, those don't take place till next year, but we're going to look at next year and we're going to go look at the next year and we're going to see some trends here that are just really, really out of control and look really, really good. It's not just the fact that he knows how to add talent, Brad Holmes, it's the fact that we are doing it the right way with the salary cap. So here's what we can look at. When we look at the salary cap this upcoming year, we have the third most room, and it's not by that much, right? There's the big three here, then there's a $4,000 drop-off to the Raiders. But here's the thing that stands out to me. One, we have $38 million left. Part of that is almost frustrating. It's like, all right, come on, what's next? What are we going to do? Is there something else? Is this leave room for a T. Higgins? Does this leave room for, somebody, maybe there's an injury in training camp and then you have a lot of money to go bring in an elite talent rather than bringing in just a body, right? So that is all there. We can talk about how we can use the cap room now, but what I want to talk about in this video is a couple of other things. One, look at the talent of the teams around us when you look at this cap totals. And then number two, I want to talk about the years going forward and where we continue to be on that list. Okay, so we know we're third. Let's see what we have that the other top 10 teams don't. All right, so here's the other 10 teams, or other 9. New England, Washington, us, Vegas, Arizona, Jacksonville, Green Bay, Chargers, the LA Chargers, the Colts, and the Titans. When I look at that top 10, I see 1, 2, maybe 3.5. We'll go with 3 because one of those two teams possibly playoff contenders this year. I see 1 Super Bowl contender. Green Bay, you can make the argument that maybe they could be a Super Bowl contender, right? I get it. I can understand based on the last half of last year, as much as I hate to admit it. I could see where you could squint and see that. I absolutely could. But we are the one team on here that seems to be a legit Super Bowl contender. The other things that all these teams seem to have in common is they're all pretty young. So to win while at such a young age is a really impressive feat. So what can you do with this money now? If you're going into the season, you're relatively healthy, you have decided that now we're not going to make a move on T. Higgins, we're not going to make a move on Simmons, we're not going to make a move on another big name player where we're going to pay him $25-30 million. All right? I'm not saying you'd pay that to Simmons, and I'm not even saying that you'd pay that to Higgins. I think he's a $23 million receiver, but at the same time, you might give him more in the first year to lessen the blow later on. So if we don't pay someone like that, don't be shocked if there's a contract restructure that works for both parties, whether it's with St. Brown, whether it's with Goff, or whether it's, I don't know if it can be with Sewell, right? But whether it's with any of those guys to restructure where, hey, maybe you put $20 million of that on this year's salary cap, so you only have 18 million left, and then for the 4 remaining years of Goff's contract, it's 5 million less. And all of a sudden that $53 million contract a year is now, or 55 or whatever it is, right, is now only 48 to 50 million a year. All right, that's one thing you can do with it this year. What about next year? All right, in 2025, do we still have enough cap space? All right, so look here. This is important. Players active. All right, you need to have players on that cap to fill out the cap space. And how do we continue to pay other players? This is when St. Brown is on the books. This is when Goff is on the books. Penei Sewell isn't his most expensive, but he's in that 5th year, so it is more expensive. Yup, we're still 8th. So we still have cap space going into next year. So those who are wondering if we hamstrung ourselves by spending $400+ million on these players, well, not next year we didn't. All right, and this is the estimate of a $273 million cap. Again, when you look at the top 10 teams, now the Cincinnati Bengals pop in there as the only other team that is a Super Bowl contender. I mean, like, do I have to make Dallas jokes right now? Do I have to make Dallas jokes? I don't think I need to. One of the things that I always thought was interesting is that the average age amongst teams is shockingly similar. So you can talk about being the youngest team, the oldest team, anything like that. The oldest team in football right now is 27.4, and the youngest team is 25.5. Like, it's not that crazy of a difference. All right, so let's bring it out even one more year. 2026. This is when you are paying full top dollar for Goff. You're paying full top dollar for Sewell. You're paying full top dollar for St. Brown. All right, that is when we now are down here at 18, but still 42 players active, and there's still 140 million left. So let's say you have to give 30 million a year to Hutch. All right, there's still a ton of money. That would put us right here at 22, and we would have all of our star players still locked up. That is the kind of thing that you have to look at when you're looking at this. So I thought maybe we don't re-sign McNeil or something like that. Nope. We actually do have the money to do that. All right. We actually do have the money to do that. Now let's go look at what it looks like a little more specifically. All right. This year, the cap hits are very interesting. 27 million for Goff, right? 12.8 for Ragnow, like 19.1. There's no big cap hit this year other than really Goff and Decker. All right. When you go to next year, you're going to have some bigger cap hits. Goff at 32.6. Frank, St. Brown not getting everything, right? Hutch is a bigger cap hit. All these guys are there. Sewell, still not a ton, all right? And that's the beautiful thing because, anyways, I don't even want to talk about that. That might actually be higher. So anyways, like as we look at this, 2026, when we drop back to like number 20 in the league, that's because Goff has a $70 million cap hit that year. All right, that's his biggest year. It goes down after that. St. Brown, 33. Sewell, 28. Frank's still sitting there at 15.5 million. All right, so like all of this stuff, and that is not as many active players. It's just, it's not a small amount. I mean, comparatively, it's still 41. But again, this is what you have to understand. All the talent's still there. Branch, Laporta, they're still not under that big contract. This is a team that you have to realize, like, we still have a lot of time. And then when the other crunch starts to happen with some other players, like you're going to have this one, that's when it gets really small, right? Is 2027. But in that year, we are projected to have a ton of cap space available. In fact, if we go to this list, all right, in 2027, we're projected to have just... What is this? Total cap space. I don't know exactly how they're estimating it at 312, but it is kind of nuts to think about how much money we could still have available to us, even all the way out to 2027. So, the Lions are ahead of the curve here. And not only, like, we can freak out about how much money they're spending on these people. but that is a good problem to have. We've said it here a ton of times, and the books look clean from here on out. And what you can continue to do is the new contracts you make smaller in the front, bigger in the back, while the old contracts are getting bigger. So they just continue to layer upon themselves, and you stay in this zone that we're in right now. All right. Thanks for watching. And by the way, you can always do things when you find yourself with extra cap room and you just have a really talented roster. Great. Throw Goff an extra $20 million so you save $5 million a year for all the remaining years. All right. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.